Idara, welcome back.
Hello, hello.
I heard that you have a few updates for us on the Paycheck Protection Program. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I do. So, since the last time we spoke, the Paycheck Protection was approved and signed into law. That actually happened a week ago today. Today's May 1st. And so that was signed into law on April 24th. Um, with that came an extra $310 billion to the Paycheck Protection Program, as well as more funding for the idle. 60 billion of that was actually allocated for small banks in an attempt to get more money out to small businesses. And a lot of information has been coming out that the larger businesses were receiving really large PPP loans, large businesses that were actually not having, not in financial distress. Just something came out the other day that's saying the Lakers got a PPP, a multi-million-dollar PPP. So they did try to put some constraints on that. Along the same lines, since that law has passed, there's been quite a few new, what they keep sending out are these addendums to it. So every day almost something new comes out. Um, they have these interim rulings that come out. So we've received quite a few of them. They've updated the FAQs. One of the FAQs that was updated is really significant here when talking about where the money went. That's the FAQ that gives companies that did not need the PPP yet or applied for a PPP and received a PPP, it gives them until May 7th to return the money. They've also just recently stated that they will be auditing any company that received $2 million or more, as well as other companies that receive smaller amounts of money. So if your business is not suffering as a result of the COVID-19, I would really recommend that people have think before they apply for the PPP. There are some businesses that are completely shut down right now. Like the beauty industry, the nail salons, the hair salons are completely shut down. There's a lot of restaurants where the work is, their demand has decreased significantly. So yeah, they have a significant loss. There's people like myself. A lot of my customers have had a decrease in sales. So then therefore they're like, well, or they're not doing anything right now, right? They're completely sheltered in place. So they're shut down. So they're like, well, I don't have any transactions. So why do I need an accountant?
Oh,
So there's nothing going on in my business, so I don't need you, so we don't have to pay you this month. So things like that. And so if you're experiencing something like that, then yes, the PPP is here for you. But if you are in an industry like where they're really not having any slowdown or no significant loss, or if maybe you've had to shuffle some people around, but your sales are still where they used to be, the PPP is not made for that. And they're going to start, really looking into people's financial situations and the reasons of why they thought they needed to take out a PPP. And if it's not a valid reason, I'm just guessing that there's going to be some kind of fines and fees going out to the companies because they said they're going to audit. Because people are, when you apply for it, you are submitting a statement that you need this PPP in order for your business to survive through this COVID-19. So that's one of the big things that came out. They came out with more rules as far as they came out with the rules for independent contractors, sole proprietors, single member LLCs, as far as how to calculate their loan amounts. So they finally came out with that ruling on the 24th, even though they've been able to apply for these loans since the 10th. And so they actually published on the 24th the ruling as far as how to calculate the loan amounts. Um, with that, I've also seen that the banks still haven't updated their systems to correspond to these new calculations. So a lot of people still are getting, denied or rejected, or getting requests for additional information, even though, like say, for example, if you are a sole proprietor, they're asking you for a 940, 941, when this ruling says you need to submit a Schedule C. So, I mean, the rules have been updated, but we have to wait for now the banks to update their systems, and hopefully they update before we run out of money. Again, they put out a interim final ruling on the criteria for seasonal employers, because there's some businesses, like say, for example, here, here I'm in Sacramento region, we have a lot of farmers and farms, and I know like the strawberry farms down the street from me, they're booming, right? But this is their season. And so if you're a seasonal business, they want to look at your season and what you're missing right now, and how your sales would usually be right now, and how many employees you would usually have right now. They can't go do your Paycheck Protection Program now based on like who would be working on a strawberry field in November when they're closed.
Right.
So they put out those criteria for the seasonal employees, as well as for new businesses, because the ruling in PPP also states that as long as your business was established by February 15th, 2020, you qualify for this. And a lot of the banks were asking for 2019 numbers. And if you had just like opened, say, like, I don't know, January 31st, you wouldn't even have any 2019 numbers.
Right.
And so your applications were automatically being denied. So they've come up with more things. I still see that they need to make a lot of adjustments. I'm still seeing people getting their applications denied. And then I'm having to take them to other lenders where they're asking the appropriate questions for that type of business. And there is talk that there's going to be more funding, and maybe it's going to even be more, it's going to be stricter, and it's going to be more focused on certain industries or certain groups. So we'll wait to see what's coming out with that. I also saw something where the SBA is limiting how much each large bank is able to take out, because some banks were processing huge $10 million at a time loans. The bank I use, they won't even take a loan that's over $2 million. So they're only they're focusing on smaller businesses. And so they put a limit on them. I think they put like 60 billion on each bank of the big banks, but they just said the big banks. They didn't say the name of the banks. So it makes it hard, because people don't know if where their bank falls, and what the limitations are. Because if your bank has already hit that cap, then you can put your application in, but it won't get submitted. The SBA won't take it. The SBA also, I saw something that the SBA was actually limiting the amount of submissions they were taking from the large banks in general, to the point where they had cut off their ability to submit applications a couple of days ago, just so the smaller banks would have a chance to get some of their applications in, because the smaller banks were taking applications from smaller businesses more. So they're doing things to try to, help all the businesses, all the different size businesses, all the different industries. But I guess the only other thing I would say I've seen is that they also are screening the applications a little bit more now, the second round. So if your financials aren't in order, or if things aren't looking if the numbers just don't make sense, if your reports and your numbers that you submit on your application, they don't add up, they're just kicking it back, and they're asking for more data, they're asking for explanations, and they don't want like an explanation like, oh, well, I paid this person and I just forgot to put it in. They want like unique qualified data to prove why your numbers look the way that they do. So I'm seeing a lot of people getting their stuff kicked back for first round. I didn't see the kickbacks as much.
And to kind of touch on that, that I feel like that's a big sore point when it comes to the community, our paperwork not being right. From our previous conversations, if I'm not mistaken, you actually help people fix up their accounting situations, right? I know, like, a lot of people think accountants cost like $3,000 to $5,000 a month, something like that. What's your rate?
No, they don't. I mean, my rates, they vary based on the business, the size of the business, the work that's entailed. My rates start in the hundreds and they go up to the thousands, but it really depends on what you want and what you need.
Mm.
And I try to keep my rates really affordable because I enjoy working with smaller businesses, micro businesses, small businesses. I like helping businesses develop and grow. Like for me, myself, my background is it's business administration, operations, and accounting. So I like to combine all of those things. Um, and so I do bookkeeping, which is just like, keeping your paperwork in order. But then I also go into the actual, like, more in-depth accounting, analysis, strategic accounting. I go more into how to run your business and how to use those numbers. So it just depends on the package that I'm offering to a person. But I have packages for people that start on monthly rates down to, like, 300, 400, up to a few thousand if I'm actually acting as your company's CFO or controller.
Right. Nice.
And right now I'm really trying to make my rates affordable because I know that people are going through a difficult time. So I'm kind of doing like a COVID-19 relief thing for business owners for a couple of months, at least, to help them get started, because right now we don't know what the world's going to be like after this. And I went to school to study business, so I want to see all businesses succeed. I don't want to see any businesses go under right now. And so if I can just help them, at least get a really strong foundation and get ready for when the world opens back up with a plan, with some really good systems and procedures, with budgets, cash flow projections, things like that, then I'm trying to work with owners. Hopefully everybody will make more money after this than they were.
Right. Wow. So that's interesting. You will actually tailor a plan specific to that business, and that your rate will be based off of whatever that business needs. You won't give them something that they don't need.
Right. And I'm even trying to think about figuring out a way to make it more affordable for the smaller companies. I want to, I'm going to start doing, I'd always thought about doing like webinars and classes, and I always see like YouTube videos, and I was like, I can't do that. But I've been doing a lot of these webinars, like more of these last weeks than like I do one almost every day. And I'm teaching people a lot. And then I do like one-on-one consults all day with people. And so, and I'm actually getting to the point now where I'm trying to show people what's going on. And I explain to them, like, if I look at their numbers, why things don't look right. So I'm thinking of doing some classes, and I'm thinking that might be an affordable option for people, is teaching people how they can, they can pay to take a class with me. And then I will teach them at least some of the basics of what they need to know. I use QuickBooks, so I would be doing like some QuickBooks classes, and then some like how to create a budget, how to create a forecast, those type of classes for people, so that they can at least get something, something going, so that they can manage their business a little bit better. And then, say this lasts longer and they need to go for a second round of funding, like their financials are in order, or when they're going for their forgiveness, that they can just, run a report and show all the transactions rather than fumbling through paperwork. They can, have a storage in the cloud for all their documents, so they have all the proper documentation, so that if the banks come back and ask for a certain paperwork for forgiveness, that they have it right there at a click of a button, and it's not like you're trying to, oh, well, let me see if I can find it and get it back to you. I'm trying to get people really prepared, not only for this, but also to keep their business going and moving, and eventually, so when their business start growing and expanding, that they're able to deal with that capacity. Because when your business gets really big, you have to have systems in place. So I wanted to train people, which is also a big thing that I like to do, is train the owners, as well as do their accounting for them, but also train them on how they can use their accounting systems to their advantage, so that they don't have to call me whenever they need a report. I'll teach you how to run your report. So when you need something, you need to fill out an application, you click on some buttons, you grab the numbers out of the report, and in 5 minutes you're done.
Wow. So essentially you turn each business owner into a mini accountant.
Oh, bookkeeper kind of, yeah, like I teach them some bookkeeping basics, you know. You still need an accountant to help you understand, but I mean, everyone knows that. I mean, most people know that you get a profit and loss or an income statement. And people know their net profit, their bottom line. That's one of your reports, but you know, I'll teach you the basis of how it's set up. You know,
Right.
what are the different categories? How do you categorize things? I saw people with the idle, they asked for your total gross sales for the period. And then they ask for a cost of goods sold. And most people don't know what a cost of goods sold is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an accounting term.
Mm-hmm.
And before I took an accounting class, I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. But as soon as they explained it, I was like, oh, I know, because I had worked as an accounting clerk before I took an accounting class. But I didn't know what it was called. I just knew what I was looking for when I was putting things there in certain places. And then I didn't know what it was until I was, you know, I had worked as an accounting clerk for years before I understood the terminology of what I was doing. So a lot of the applications are asking for accounting terminology. With the PPP, they're also saying, you know, that accountants can't charge to fill out the application. So you're kind of leaving business owners on their own to fill out these these applications. And you guys, people need some knowledge. They need some education just so that they can do this and, you know, make sure you're putting the right numbers in the right places. There's a huge difference in your cost of goods sold and your expenses depending on your industry. I just want to spread some knowledge as well as help people so that they can run their business. You know, it's your business. You should know what's going on. You should be able to open your balance sheet and know what your categories are and why things are in those categories. And if they're asking you for your income, you should be able to know whether you look on your balance sheet or your profit and loss based on your business type. So I want to tell people and really educate people as far as what they're looking for.
Interesting. So, for example, if someone were to call you for a free consultation, what would they get? Say I'm a business owner, I'm trying to fill out the small business owner, I'm trying to fill out the PPP application. Would I be able to call you for a consultation on how to fill it out? Or,
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much helping people walk through it. I'm pretty much looking at their stuff. Especially I've had people call me like this week and they're like, I applied for the PPP and I didn't get my PPP. And I applied at my bank and they denied it. And they told me to turn some paper and then they denied it again. And they've denied it 3 times. And so I'm like, well, send it to me. Let me see what I can do, you know? And I'll look at it and I'm like, oh, well, you know, this number's not right, or you forgot this number, you added this number twice. And so I'll look at it real quick and I'll just look over their numbers, look and see if they have the right reports, look and see if they're adding the right numbers, if they're taking out the right numbers, because it's not just a straight like bottom line of your payroll report. I'm going to grab this number and plug it in. Because you're turning in your payroll reports and then you're turning in your numbers and they want to know if it makes sense. So I'll look over that. I'll look over it, and I've had people come in and turn it in, and they've turned in the payroll costs, the salaries of everyone on their staff, and they forgot to add themselves. I've seen things like that. So I just go over a couple of questions with them just to figure out what their industry is. And then I'll pull up their reports, look at their reports, see if I can see anything that like really doesn't look right. Because I used to be an auditor as well. So I can just look over things sometimes and just be like, that doesn't look right. So, and then I can also, based on their industry, help them find another application if I know of one that might have questions that are geared more towards their business, right? So if you're telling me you've only been in business for a year and you bank at a large bank and they're asking for, you've only been in business for 6 months and you bank at a large bank and they're asking for a year average, then I'm going to try to find somebody who's asking you for, you know, the time period that you were in business. They're allowing you to select the time period. They're not just doing January to December 2019, because that 12-month average payroll is not going to reflect what you were actually paying because you weren't in business for 12 months. So because see, if you do that and your report shows one number, but then your report shows, you know, over for the whole year, you only paid out $60,000 in payroll, but you're writing in there, no, I pay $10,000 a month. They're going to be looking for $5,000 a month, but that's only because you did it. You were only in business for 6 months, so the numbers aren't going to match, and then they're going to kick it back. And so I'm trying to help people also find the right place to apply. I have a lender that I like, that I've been using, that they answer the phone when I call, and I can honestly say that every single person that I've turned into them has had their PPP approved.
Wow.
And I have people that had received money like up to like 2 weeks ago through them. And I mean, just yesterday I had somebody who had their PPP approved within 4 hours.
Wow.
So we started that application in the morning, and by lunchtime I got an email from them where they forwarded me an email saying, look, your PPP was approved. So, I mean, I have my preferred bank. So
that's
just because I'm getting good results from them, like
right.
my people are getting through. And if I have a question, I call them. And, I was on the phone with them yesterday where someone had got a report back that it was an error. And I jumped on the phone and I put it on speaker. I was like, oh, here I go. I'm gonna sit here for like an hour. And this is what one of my clients. So for her, I'm making the phone calls and stuff for her too. So I jumped on the phone and I was just like, let me get comfortable. And the second ring, somebody answered. And they were super helpful. They would put me on hold every couple of minutes, but they were going to research information, and they came back and they're like, your client's good. And then my client came back to me this morning like, no, they're wrong. I Googled it. And I'm just like, just wait, be patient,
Right.
And so I was there just like, call. So by the end of the day, I had some things going on today. So by the end of the day, I was like, okay, let me get on the phone, try to call them back again. I didn't get through as fast, so I was waiting on hold, and she forwarded me an email saying, here's your promissory note for your money. And so I hung up and I was like, so can I get off the hold now? Like I told you, it's going to be okay. So, yeah, people are, these businesses are their babies. So they do get like, a little passionate about things sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, let me make the phone call, because you might not get alone after you get on the phone with them. But yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice being able to help businesses, because that's what I'm all about. It's like business, right? It's so not in the matter of like making money, because like, yeah, that's awesome, but really, helping businesses thrive and succeed. And it's really cool. It's kind of like when a doctor does like heart surgery and then their patient survives, or they have like this weird tumor and they were able to get it out. So right now, this is the same thing for those of us in this field, where we're on the front line for, they have the healthcare workers on the front line for the people that are sick, and we're out here on the front line for the businesses that are, falling apart. So we're out here. I'm working more now than ever before. I swear I'm working at least 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day. And I'm doing it all, like it's almost all of those consults, just so I can try to keep these businesses afloat, because what's going to happen if all the businesses go under? What's the world going to be like when the world opens up, there's nothing to open up to?
Right, exactly. So I wanted to know, what is your take on the IDLE program versus the PPP program?
That's a good question. So I actually found out some more information about the IDLE. The IDLE is better the IDLE, I like the IDLE because I think that most companies can actually receive more funds from the IDLE. And right now, I think that companies have been out of business already for like 2 months, right? March and April. A lot of them were now in May. And so if you get your PPP now, it's going to cover May and June. But what happens to like March and April, where you lost all your income? You're going to need more than eight weeks worth of funds, right? What if you're already behind 2 months in your rent or something? And so the IDLE is actually potentially more money. The only bad thing is they're not funding the IDLE the way they're funding the PPP. So the IDLE is going to run out of money before you could get people, or everyone's going to be able to get the money. The reason I'm saying that is because the idle is they're going not based off of your, like, you have a lot of expenses for your business. Your payroll is just one of them.
Right.
And payroll is usually a really significant expense,
Mm-hmm.
but the idle, and you start from when you do your profit and loss, you start from the top at your sales, and then you have all your expenses go all the way down throughout, and your idle is based off of like your gross profit, which is really at the top before you start taking out all your other expenses, like your office expenses, your operational expenses, your administrative expenses, your wages, your rent, your utilities, your health insurance, your license and your fees. All those other expenses, they come out of your gross profit. And so the idle is based off of your gross profit. So obviously it's a bigger number than salaries if your salary comes out of it. So, and the idle is 6 times that monthly, where the PPP is 2.5 times. So you can see they're going to be bigger loans, but they aren't forgiven, which is why I think most people aren't talking about them, because people want that forgivable PPP, because the forgiveness makes it so it's like a grant. It's free money if you have the qualified expenses. Well, for companies that aren't salary heavy, then the idle's probably a loan that they would want to look at. For companies that have really high rent expenses and things like that, the idle is something that they would want to look at. For companies that maybe they're new and they have like all these things that they have financed, and they have all these accounts payables, which are your bills. You have tons of bills. Like, your bills are more than your salary. You're going to be worried more about your bills than your payroll, right? And getting behind with all your lenders. And so that's where the idle is really good. Or even for the sole proprietors, the independent contractors, single member LLCs, where you're asking their PPPs based off of your Schedule C. You could have made a lot of money, but then you could have like been a new business and you had a lot of like just expenses because you're new, or you could have expanded. And so therefore your net income is low, or you actually had a loss rather than a profit. You're going to be disqualified from the PPP. Because for some reason they're saying if you had a loss, you didn't make any money. But I don't know very many people that would have a goal all year to have a loss and never have taken a paycheck all year, right? So they're going based off of that bottom line number, and you're not going to get any money. So you're going to have to look to the idle. The only bad thing is that I actually talked to a rep this week, and she told me that it could be up to 6 weeks before you get your idle money. The idle advances are going out and people are receiving it. They're not calling you. They're not going to tell you anything. You're just going to see it show up in your bank account. It's $1,000 per person up to the first 10 people in your business. So up to $10,000. And then from there, they're going to start, processing the loans and seeing who qualifies for a loan, who doesn't qualify for a loan. And they're going to start making loan offers. They told me to look in the portal that they're going to send out and you check your email, because they're going to be sending out emails to a portal if they approve you for an idle. Also check your mail, because they're going to be mailing out letters saying you've been approved or you haven't been approved for the idle. But they said that can take up to 6 weeks. So the PPP money is coming out a little bit faster, right? If you called me and I got you, we applied for a PPP and we got you approved. Friday. They're not going to probably say until Monday. We got you approved like Tuesday. You'd probably get your PPP money on Friday of next week or Monday of the week after that. Okay, so like a week. The idle might not be till June. So if you're really in a strap for money, that's where it's going to hurt.
Wow.
But that's why they did that advance. That's why they did that advance of $1,000 per person. So it was to give people some money while they were going to go through the whole loan process, the loan application process, and actually qualifying people for loans.
Wow. This is interesting. So if somebody had more questions for you and they wanted to get a free consultation, how would they get in contact with you?
The best thing is actually to go to my website.
Okay.
So right above my head is like my information, and it's zipbs.com, or you can actually go to zipbiz.net. I have another domain coming up. So you can actually go there and go to my COVID-19 page or my contact page. And I actually have links to my calendar. You can book in my calendar. You could send me a message. That would be the best way to contact me because I'm doing so many consults. Like if you call me, I'm probably on the phone. So I'm not taking appointments all day because I still have clients. So I still have accounting. And so even during those times, I'm not answering the phone because I have to still, you know, if you come to me and you say, Idara, I need a Schedule C so I can file my PPP, I need some time to do it. So I'm, you know, taking half my day for calls and half my day to actually just get all the work done for people. So the best way is to go to my page and I have a link to my calendar on there, and you can go into my calendar and book an appointment. And their actual appointment slots, and it'll be a Zoom call. And that way, if you, I can look at your documents, we can share your screen. And even if you really need help, I can remote into your computer and help you navigate your application. Or I've even been helping people where they needed like Adobe installed and things like that. So I just, you know, remote into their computer and help them upgrade or do whatever they need so we can get the applications done. So.
Nice. Perfect. Well, we definitely thank you for joining us for another update. We look forward to some more videos. Did you say you were doing a class? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to post the information. I'm still putting it together, but I'm going to be doing some classes on QuickBooks. I'm going to do some classes on cash flow forecasting and some classes on accounting basics. And I'm trying to put together the package. I'm looking at something where I can, you know, help people get some QuickBooks software at a really reasonable price with some of my wholesale discounts, and then also get them trained so that once you're done with your training, you can start entering your company's data into the QuickBooks. So I'm trying to help people also get some really, you know, subscriptions at a good price with it. So once I get that all put together, I should have information up on my website in the next couple of days. Just keep looking. You know, by the end of the weekend, I'll have something up. And I'll be doing some classes, and there'll be like groups, and we'll go step by step how to, you know, set up your QuickBooks, and then how to, you know, how do you invoice, how do you bill, how do you receive payments automatically, and then the workflows that go with it, and then also the reports, and then we'll go over that. After we get that done, we'll use the reports to make projections so we can actually make budgets and show you how to integrate apps. You can integrate things like your Square, your PayPal if you're using that. So, you know, your credit cards, your banks, how to link them up and how to take the data from those and put it into your QuickBooks. And I mean, people have so many different methods, you know, Cash App, all those things. You could be using so many different things, and all your information's everywhere. You need everything in like one spot. So I'm going to show people like it's a really powerful tool. And then also, like, once you get it ready for these applications or whatever you have to do, or even tax time, you just, you know, your tax preparer will love you because you will just go in there and you can actually just, you know, send them a file or add them to your file, and they will be able to go in there and pull up all your information, and you don't have to bring them anything. You don't even have to see them at that point. Nice. So I'm going to show people how they can, you know, get this done with technology. So it's 2020. I want to, you know, really try to educate people about technology and how to use it, or even if you have it, how to use it to your maximum capabilities, and also some of the rules and the laws that go along with it. Because software is one thing, but I mean, if you could open up Excel, it doesn't mean you know how to use it, right? The same thing with the accounting software. You can open it up, but it doesn't mean that you know what you're doing when you're in there. Right. It's just a software. And when you go to accounting, there's also rules and laws of how you have to do things. So we'll go over some of that as well.
Perfect. I'm definitely going to subscribe to your class. I need it. I hope everybody else sees the value. I think everybody will, but we definitely appreciate you coming and sharing this information with us. And we look forward to your next video.
Thank you.